Welcome to Om Times TV, a division of Om Times Media and Broadcasting. Be bold, be brave, be extraordinary, be vulnerable, be real, be curious, be true, be you. Welcome to Trusting Your Gut with world-class energy intuitive Catherine McIntosh, a show designed to awaken you to enjoy the process of evolving, have fun along the way, and learn to listen to those silent in-between moments. You are the expert of your own life, and nobody knows more about the next steps to take in your journey than you. So please, listen to your gut and discover what's waiting for you to explore. Here is your host, Catherine McIntosh.
Hello, my magical friends. Welcome to today's show. So I'm really excited about our topic today, all about the power of transformation. And I'm going to start this show off with a story that I think will resonate, relate, because we're all in the business of becoming our absolute best selves. And, whatever that means for you, right? And so this isn't about making like fitting in or doing it other people's way. This is about finding your path. So years ago, I spent about 8 years sort of traveling around the world with a shaman. And I learned a lot from this man. And in the process, I also did a lot of my own personal work. So I was newly going through a divorce. I was very young in my mid-20s. And I knew that the marriage that I had chosen in my early 20s was not actually the right fit, but I kept trying to make it work. And in the process, I kept getting sick. And the more I tried to make this relationship work, the sicker I got, right? I recently saw a post on Instagram that was saying how your body will let you know if the relationship you are in is actually good for your soul. And the way that you know that is your body happy? Is your body not happy? Are you experiencing lots of pains? Are you getting sick? And so in our lives, and this can apply not just to relationships, this can apply to a job. If you're in a job that makes you unhappy, your body might start getting sick. But most people in their intimate, most significant partnerships or relationships, if that relationship isn't good for you, your body will start to let you know. And it'll show up in all these different ways. And so here I am in my mid-20s, and I discovered this man that I started working with, and we would do these blindfolded shamanic ritual dances. And so I learned at a very early age how to basically, I put a blindfold on, close the eyes, and you start to do this breath work. And this breath work is a way to naturally evoke the natural DMT in your pineal gland to go on an alternative journey. And so it didn't involve plant medicine, although with breath work, there will be moments that I felt like I was tripping for days. And it was extremely euphoric. It was also informative, but it also took me to places in the depth of my psyche that I didn't know were there. And so one of these transformational journeys was a week-long experience on the big island of Hawaii, hanging out with Pele, the volcano, and the rocks and the ocean and the waves and the grass and so we do this medicine journey, but with breath work, no actual plant medicine. And the midway through, we're doing this basically journey to discover our spirit animal. And as I go to discover my spirit animal, I've got a blindfold on, I'm doing this breath work, I'm dancing to sort of tribal shamanic music with heartbeats and, just sort of like asking this animal to come to me. And I'm laying face down on this wood platform, sort of this dance structure. And all of a sudden, with my eyes closed, this thing comes in my view, right? Now, mind you, my eyes are closed, so it was a vision, right? And there are these beady yellow green eyes, right? And then this flat nose, and this thing comes straight up to my face in this vision, and it sticks out its tongue. It had a forked tongue, and I was like, oh my God, that's a snake. No, you are not my spirit animal. You have to go away. I can't stand snakes. I've been terrified of snakes since I was a young kid. No, my spirit animal is definitely not a snake. And so I kind of told the snake to go away. And then a little bit later, there was like a ladybug. I was like, yeah, ladybug's not my spirit animal, but there were these little, I was looking for my significant spirit animal that was going to take me through a lot of journeys and also contribute to being a guide through my life. And so meanwhile, I'm like, nope, snake is not my, and the snake just keeps coming back and keep coming back. And I finally had to go, oh my God, you're my spirit animal. Crap. So after that, there was another exchange. I won't get into too many details, but I basically had to embody and was invited to embody the energy of a snake. And so it was interesting. My vision got really blurry. My sense of smell got really funky, but my sensory perception of the space around me, mind you, I'm blindfolded, was very in tune and acute, right? Acutely aware. And I realized in that moment, wow, this snake is indeed my spirit animal. I went to research it later, and it talked about the snake is about the power of transformation. And the snake is the only animal on the planet that will shed its skin anywhere from, I think it's like 3 to 12 times a year. And when they shed their skin, guess what? Their vision goes blurry. Their sense of taste and smell gets a little muted, but their sensory perception around them gets really big. And then they shed their entire skin and rejuvenate a brand new body, which I think is fascinating. And it speaks to the power of transformation. And here's the deal. Most of us are looking for some form of transformation, whether it's, in the spirit realm, whether it's in the physical realm, whether it's on the relationship plane, whether it's just with inside of ourselves and sort of recovering or uncovering who we were always meant to be in the first place, right? And so this snake sort of dances along, and it becomes anew 3 to 12 times a year. And in the process of this transformation, it is not light and fluffy. It isn't sunshine and rainbows. It is a difficult transition, right? And so in this experience of doing this sort of animal dance and embodying the energy snake, I realized there was this moment of like, I didn't feel safe out on the pavement, right? Because what if a car came over and ran me over? And the only place I felt safe was like hiding in the grass and hiding in behind a tree. And so it gave me a lot of sensory information of what happens when we as beings want to create something greater in our lives. We want a transformation. We want to change what's no longer working. But the sad, hard truth is a lot of people don't want to or don't like to do the work that's required to shed the old skin, to shed the old layers, to shed the old belief systems, to become a new energy and let go of the old identity. And yet, in order to transform, we must do exactly that, which is to be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? You get comfortable realizing that part of becoming great in your life. And look, this is about your version of great, right? So someone's version of great could be, I live in Aspen. There's a lot of people in this town that their version of great is skiing every day, working, connecting with friends, having a good time. Other people's versions of great might be creating a company, Other versions of great might be raising 4 kids and being the best mom you can be to those 4 kids. It does not matter what your version of greatness is. What matters is that you don't give up your version of greatness in order to fit into somebody else's ideal of what they think that you should do or be. All of us have our own life paths. All of us are built very differently. And I think it's time that we honor that and that we honor the transformation that wants to happen. Now, when I would do these shamanic rituals, it was hard work. It was a lot of breath. Sometimes I'd feel like I was going to pass out. I'd get tremors from the breath work because you're doubling the oxygen to your brain so you can get lightheaded. You can start to have these shakes. But ultimately, it takes you on a journey that mimics plant medicine. And personally, I prefer it. I prefer using breath work instead of inhaling a plant that I might not know what the outcome of that plant may be, right? I used to hold space for people who have done ayahuasca in my 20s when I was working with the shaman, and I saw what it would do to people, and I was like, I don't think I need to experience a near-death experience or the things that people go through when they do, certain types of plant medicines. But what I will say is that transformation is available to us every day in little and small and sometimes big things. But here's the challenge for every single person is that there is a level of deep surrender required to be able to transform. So going back to that moment of this snake, these beady eyes, bright yellow green, right? This like flat nose, this forked tongue, like slithering at me. I was like, oh my God, get me away from this snake. And yet when I surrendered and I realized the truth that it was here to bring me a message, that it was actually a spirit guide, that it wanted to contribute to me, not make my life worse, right? It's a metaphor for life. The things that are occurring in our lives are not meant to make us fall apart. They're meant to make us come together. They're meant to contribute to our transformation, because if you have a big ask for your life, the old stuff needs to go. And you can either fight the old stuff staying, or you can find a way to surrender, to allow the old to leave, to let go of the fear or the lack of forgiveness, right? Because all of us have been wronged, right? Experienced wrongs in our lives from other people. And sometimes, especially if it's family members or past significant others or past lovers or past friends that or past business partners that did us wrong, we can hang on to that resentment or that anger, right? We can tell a really good story about it. I know that I have done that, right? And I caught myself recently doing it. I was like, we're not going to go there anymore. That's not the power of transformation. The power of transformation is finding forgiveness, right? Is surrendering the old, surrendering the stuff that happened to you. I haven't met a person on the planet that hasn't had some form of serious trauma in their lives. Not one, right? And it doesn't matter the kind of trauma you've experienced, right? But it's a trauma nonetheless. I told the story of my 11-year-old son when he was 3 or 4 in daycare. His daycare lady was out in the garage. She was just doing, the kids were supposedly napping. My son woke up and had, a breakdown because he thought he was being abandoned. And that one incident marked a pretty big trauma in his life, right? Which we are still working on recovering from. And so it might not look traumatic from the outside, but it doesn't matter. The experience, it's what matters how you experienced it. And so here's an interesting thing is we think that we need to work really hard to let the painful moments that we've experienced in our lives let them go, transform them. And what I've actually found, I am so grateful for my experiences in the jungles of South America and in, on the big island of Hawaii and on the ocean in certain parts of the world and traveling. I'm so grateful for those experiences. Those experiences were rooted in you have to work hard to transform. And in the last 15 years, I've been working, quote unquote, hard. I've been searching, I wouldn't say working hard, I've been searching for a way that allows transformation to be easy, just like drinking water. The hardest part of transformation is surrendering the mind, is teaching the mind that it's okay to let go of the past, that it's okay to adopt and have a new identity, that it's okay to come to the light and to allow things to come into your world with total ease. And so there is no right and no wrong, but one of the things that I've discovered in my search, in my quest, is that when we begin to acknowledge that the patterns we've put into place that worked in the past to keep us safe, to survive, to get by in life, when we realize that those current patterns are no longer working in our current life experiences, then the biggest challenge for almost all of us is to go, wow, this is not working, right? And it happens in business, right? Someone can be really successful in business, and then all of a sudden, AI comes along, or all of a sudden new marketing techniques come along, or all of a sudden new technology comes along, and we're forced to let go of what used to work and have to innovate and reinvent and be curious about what would work now. And so, one of my favorite questions to ask, especially in business, right? Because I've had to do many different versions of my business. I'm in another transition again, right? And instead of resisting it, resenting it, wishing I could go back, it's like, wow, what if this is actually designed to open the space to something far greater? And I think that's the point for all of us to look at, is that any instance or circumstance or experience that happens to any of us in our lives is designed to make us greater. It's designed to make us greater. And so it opens the door, right? And yet most of us, right, because we're wired in a way that, most people don't like change. And I thought that I was somebody who was like, no, I love change. But sometimes in certain areas of my life, I have held and clung really tightly to a belief system that doesn't work anymore, right? To a viewpoint that doesn't work anymore, to thought patterns that don't work anymore. I used to cling tightly to ideas about my body and food that didn't work anymore. And so this is an invitation, if you're listening and you're curious and you're like tuned in and you're hearing what I'm saying, this is an invitation to you to look at the places in your life where you are clinging tight to an idea or to a belief or to a relationship that actually is no longer working for you. And there's nothing wrong with admitting that it's time to transform. The challenge is it's not up to you how that transformation wants to take place. Now, it might be up to you what you want to create. It might be up to you how you want to feel about your life. It might be up to you that you want to be adventurous and curious and connect with meaningful people. It might be up to you that you want to live in a certain place on the planet, right? But it might not be up to you the way the transformation wants to reveal itself. And this is the hardest part for most of us, right? On this human plane in a physical body, to realize that we might not be in control of how things want to show up or when they want to show up. But what we can be in control of is how we react, how we respond, and how we determine how we feel, right? Most people will say that, oh, that person made me feel this way. No, your interpretation of their actions, right? Your interpretation created how you feel. They didn't make you feel anything. You created how you wanted to feel based on how they responded or acted or reacted to you. And I think the power in transformation is recognizing that it's time for all of us to surrender a little bit. Surrender into thinking that we know the right way. Surrender into thinking that other people have the wrong way, right? Surrender our old root belief systems that helped us survive our childhood, right? Surrender techniques and business ideas that are archaic unless they're actually working for you. And so, this is your invitation to take a look at your life, because the truth is, the universe, I don't know if you guys have been on board lately, but it is shaking people up. It is shaking animals up. It is shaking the planet up. And we are being called, right? Called, summoned into a transformation that I don't think that any of us have ever experienced before. And so you can either cling tight to the old archaic ideas of what used to work, or you can cling tight to knowing that you're on a ride of a lifetime. And guess what? You get to determine how you want to feel. You get to determine what your values are. You get to determine who you want in your life, and then the universe will let you know. So we might say, I want this particular person. That's not the best way to go about it. It's, I want this sort of energy in my life, right? I think nowadays we're so quick to dismiss a relationship, dismiss a friendship, right? But particularly in the dating world, with swiping and dating apps and, having access to an entire world of people that might look shiny and bright on the outside, but it's like, what are the energy of people that you want to be with, right? What sort of values do they have? What sort of ideals do they have? Sort of craft the kinds of energies you want in your life, and then surrender and let the universe show you. So, believe it was back in January of 2024, right? We started on this age of Aquarius. And the age of Aquarius is going to exist for the next, what is it? Age of Aquarius for the next 20 years. And this is where the planet starts waking up, right? And so, in order for that transformation of light to come through, for joy, for expansion, for aliveness, for the spirit world to be a part of our daily experience, some old archaic energies need to leave. And guess what? It's not always comfortable. It's not always sunshine, rainbows, and roses, right? But it can be worth every second. I recently just went through a huge transformation, and it was one of the hardest experiences I had gone through in my life up to date, right? And there was nothing that I could do except for allow it. And I got to see some patterns that I didn't like about myself. I got to see my survival instincts, which were old and archaic, that no longer applied, right? I got to see where I was trying to preserve, and save face with myself. And I got to see some behaviors that I didn't like about myself too much. And so I then went on sort of an internal journey. I meditated a lot. I journaled a lot. I rested a lot. I spent a lot of time by myself. And then I also sought out really good people in my life that held space. And I'm someone who doesn't like to rely on many people. And this beautiful experience and this beautiful exchange that I got to go through, I got to see who my true friends were. I got to see how much people love and adore me and were willing to be there and not force me, not put their opinions on top of me, just to be there. Because the truth is that each of you knows better about you, your future, your life choices, about your values, about what you want, about what you don't want, than anyone else in the world. And this is your invitation to start paying attention to your truth. Not the truth you think you want, not the external material world of what that looks like, but how does it feel inside, right? And so the point is that nobody can tell you the best way to start your journey, to continue your journey, to create a new season, to create a new identity. Nobody. But guess what? Your body knows, and the way you know is, how do you feel? Do you feel like you're purging? Do you feel stuck? Do you feel alive when you wake up in the mornings? Do you feel enthusiastic about your day? And you know what? It's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. I was on a path recently. It was not fun. It was not enjoyable, but it was worth every moment, knowing now that I think, knock on wood, and mostly on the other side. And that's the thing for each of you, is nobody knows about your journey than you do. And so the time is to start to go inside, to be curious, to be reflective, to be inquisitive, and to really get down to the nitty-gritty of what your truth is. And when you are clear on your truth, the world around you organizes to support you, which means the people that are meant to stay in your life will stay. The people that are new people are meant to come into your life will come in. And the people that are no longer resonant with you and where you're going will leave. And I think one of the biggest challenges is to let it happen. Don't force, don't make, allow, and see what shows up. So we'll be back after a short break talking more about the power of transformation and some small things you can do every day to allow this transformation to be easy, not so hard, not so painful, but easy, or at least you'll be able to allow it to come to the surface. So stay tuned, and we'll be back after this.
Times TV.
Do you trust you? Do you trust your body? What if the key to unlocking the weight, pain, suffering, fear, anxiety, addictions, traumas, and sorrows was already inside of you? Learn to love the skin you are in so you can create the body, business, and life you love. Everyone always says you can't explain what Catherine does, you just have to experience it. From Hollywood actors to New York Times best-selling authors to some of the world's wealthiest and most successful, no two experiences are the same. For private sessions, online courses, live events, and the latest book Jack Canfield calls Game Changer and should be required reading for everyone, go to katherinemcintosh.com. KatherineMcintosh.com.
Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. Om Times Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, Om Times offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an Om Times magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on Om Times TV and broadcasting it across the extensive Om Times radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. Om Times. Open yourself to the possibilities.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
All right, my magical friends, I'm just looking at my notes and making sure. So we're going to talk about, right, this is the power of transformation. And if you've been listening or joined us, we're going to talk about some things, some specific things that you can do on a daily basis to really allow transformation to happen. And look, I am gifted and brilliant at energy, but there are some things in my life that I'm not so gifted at, right? And one of the things recently in my hiatus, excuse me, yeah, that means it's true. Yawning is releasing unconscious energy. And so one of the things, and actually that's a great thing to add to the list, is yawn more, right? Most of you might not like that concept, but we're going to talk about some of the things you can do on a daily basis to really sort of awaken this idea of the power of transformation. Transformation is designed to contribute to us, right? I mean, look at nature. Nature has to transform to the world around us, and it has, and it continues to do so. And it doesn't put up a fight, and it doesn't resist. It just grows in a different direction, right? Or it allows something to die. And I think that's a great lesson for all of us. And it's one of the first sort of tools is if you want to really embrace this concept that you are designed as a being to transform. Look, and if you're listening to this, you're one of those people. There are people out there that don't really like transformation. And we'll let them be exactly where be. It's not right, it's not wrong. But this is specifically a message to you if you're listening and you know you're a seeker, you know you're always curious about creating a greater life for yourself, right? And I just want to caveat that a greater life doesn't necessarily mean more money. A greater life is what makes you come alive. What makes you come alive? What makes you happy, right? So like one of my favorite questions to ask in business, or my business, it's time for a transformation, which it's been happening for the last 2 years, right? Is like, okay, if I were to start a business today, this current business, right? Don't look at the past. If I were to start a business today, what would I do different? What would I create? What would I implement? I definitely would use AI, right? And so information, okay, study AI or start using it or start implementing it or get curious about it, right? And so there is no right or no wrong way, but here are sort of a list of things in no particular order of things that you can do to embrace this idea. If you are somebody who wants more transformation, you want a greater life, whatever that is for you, right? And maybe you've felt a little stuck lately. And I'll give you a clue. If your body continues to be in pain, continues to break down, continues to have digestive issues, continues to gain weight inexplainably, chances are there's an area of your life that you're stuck in, because the body will always show you something is off. When I was in my marriage and before I met this shaman, right, I got inexplainably sick. I lost 40 pounds in just a few months. Doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I thought I was dying, felt like I was dying. And what my body was trying to invite me to consider is something I knew when I was walking down the aisle, which was this person was not my life partner. Tried to make him my life partner. Oh, but my body knew, and so did I. And I think that all of us know when we are veering off the truth of our paths. And so if you want to reconnect to whatever that truth is, here's a couple things. The first one, right, is get out in nature. Hug a tree, go to a park, lay in the grass, get your feet barefoot, stick your feet in a river, right? Go on a hike, play outside, plant in your garden, right? Get some plants inside your house, like surround yourself with nature. Even if you live in a city, find a way, bring plants into your house, go to a park, right? Get out to a national park on the weekends, right? Do whatever you can to go spend more time in nature. Get on a lake, go on a river, right? Go swimming. Do something that helps you reconnect to nature, because transformation, right? Nature is a perfect example of the cycle of life, the seasons of life. And there's a season for growth. There's a season for hibernation. There's a season for rest. There's a season for blooming and growing. There's a season for being the brightest sun in the world and in your world and in other people's world. So pay attention to your seasons. So number one, get on nature. Number two, and I think this is quite important, stop talking about what doesn't work. Just stop it. Stop talking about the weight you need to lose. Stop talking about the problems you have with your husband. Stop talking about the problems you have with money. Stop talking about that you feel broke. Stop talking about that you feel that your best friend from 20 years ago, stabbed you in the back. Stop talking about what doesn't work. Stop taking what doesn't work to your therapist. I found this recent statistic is that 3 out of 4 couples who go to couples counseling end up in divorce. The couples that commit to move forward, not backward, are the ones that make it. And so this is about moving forward in your life, not backward, and regurgitating all the things, all the people, all the circumstances where you feel slighted, where you feel unjust, where you feel like you were taken advantage of. I used to talk about it a lot. Guess what? Not relevant. Now, if I talk about certain things, it's to tell it, as an invitation or as a metaphor, right? It's not to go back to the same experience, right? It's to give a lesson. So hopefully you don't make as many mistakes as I made. And yet each of us come in knowing that we're on an adventure, knowing we're on a journey. And so stop talking about what doesn't work. Stop talking about what you don't want. Get clear on what you don't want, and then get really clear on what you do want. Ask the universe for what you want, and then be prepared to surrender and let go when the challenges come. Okay? So, next one is journal. I love this one. Meditate is also a great one, right? So journal. And my 5 favorite journal prompts, which I shared in several episodes, are 5 questions, right? So I've added a 6th one on. So the first thing I do at the very top of the page is I give an appreciation for someone in my life, right? It might be my son, it might be a friend, it might be my work. Like what am I appreciating right now? If you're married or partnered, it might be your partner, right? When I've been in a relationship, it's like, okay, I'm going to appreciate, what's my appreciation for the person in my life right now? Here it is, okay? And then there's 5 questions. And the first question is, what are my wins, right? So what are your wins? Where'd you win at in the last 24 hours? Oh, like yesterday I went on a hike. So I wrote that down as one of my wins this morning, right? I wrote down that I had a really good conversation with my son last night, right? I wrote down that I paid attention over the last 5 weeks and I didn't fight the pain, right? I didn't fight the surrender that needed to happen. I did a little bit, right? Another win is I realized I need to let go of my head sometimes. So you write down, what are my wins? Second question, what am I grateful for? Pretty simple. Third question is, what am I letting go of? Right? What am I letting go of? Oh, I'm going to let go of using my head to try to figure out my life. Oh, I'm going to let go of talking trash about somebody, right? I'm going to let go of hanging on to anger from my past, right? And so before I get distracted, so number one, what are my wins? Number two, what am I grateful for? Number three, what am I letting go of? Number four is, what do I want to energize or focus on, right? So most of us don't want to energize or focus the wrong or the bad or the stuff that isn't working yet. When we talk about it, we focus on it, we energize it, and then it gets bigger, right? So you want to, number four, what do I want to focus on and energize? And number five, what does your ideal day look like, right? Could be simple. Wake up happy, go to work, right? Your ideal day could be getting on a plane and flying to Paris or flying to Budapest, right? Or having, a champagne dinner with your favorite friend, or going to go see, like my son loves football. So one of his ideal days is flying to Europe and seeing a professional game, right? So you never know what can happen if you begin to energize your ideal day, because now you get to have a very clear, direct conversation with the universe, with yourself, with your truth. And that always opens up doors. It opens up doors for what needs to leave. It also opens up doors for what's to come, because you never know if you don't ask or say or share. Okay? So, I had a good point to make, but I forget it because I wanted to kind of stick to my list. So meditate and journal. You've got the 5 questions that you can journal on. Here's the piece, is forgiveness. Forgiveness is a huge one to do. Stop hanging on. So little did I know, I've been hanging on to a few pieces of resentment that have to do with past relationships, also has to do with losing money in past relationships. And I'm like, is it going to serve my spirit to keep hanging on to those? Nope. So can I do forgiveness? Forgiveness of myself, forgiveness of the other, forgiveness for not paying attention to my truth, forgiveness of trying to force things or try to make them work, and then forgiveness for hanging on to resentment for so long. So really doing a forgiveness, and there's a Hawaiian, I forget the Hawaiian term. It's a great experience. I heard it years ago, and then I recently, I've been doing an amazing course lately, and in this is a forgiveness ritual. And I think it's called the Ho'oponopono or something. It's a Hawaiian ritual, right? I can't take credit. This is not my ritual. I've heard it from several amazing people for the last 30 years of my own personal journey. And the 5 words are actually, let me get to my list. So look it up, Ho'oponopono, right? It's a Hawaiian forgiveness ritual. Look it up if you're interested. I won't take time through here, but forgiveness, no matter how you do it, no matter what you do, it's important to do. So please, please, please take it with you. Okay? Next one, pay attention to who and what makes you feel good when you're around them or when you're doing an activity, right? Hiking in nature always makes me feel good. Taking a bath always makes me feel good. Watching a movie when my head is too tuned in into too many different places and I need to just kind of rest the brain, watching a movie that makes me laugh or smile, right? Or for me, cheesy Hallmark movies that make me cry. Right? And so no one knows how to do you other than you. Next one is self-care. So that could be a massage, it could be a facial, it could be an energy work session, it could be um, getting together and having a nice meal or a good glass of wine with a friend, right? Self-care is so important. It could also be saying no to when you're overextended or giving too much of yourself, okay? And then this one I think gets underlooked, but if you've been listening to my show for a while, you know that I'm a huge proponent of this piece, which is to heal your nervous system from the inside out. So most people don't know that they're walking around with very unhealed nervous system. So they're in chronic fight or flight, their metabolism's out of whack, their thyroid might be out of whack, they've been dealing with, some sort of illness or dis-ease, right? And so our bodies will always speak to us, but if you start to prioritize healing your nervous system from the inside out, you will have an incredible experience. So I'm currently in the process of creating a course that is quite profound, that has to do with the nervous system, that I think all of you are going to freak out about, that will help you. It's something I've been working on for the last 2 years, and I've seen the power of what it can do for myself, my clients, and all the people that I've worked with all over the world. When we focus on healing and repairing our nervous system, we calm ourselves down, we integrate, right? We align, we get clear, and then guess what? There's not all of this discord and all of this old baggage. I joke with some of my clients and I say, you've been hoarding on to this energy for a really long time, and nobody wants to throw a dinner party at a hoarder's house, right? So some of you have been energetically hoarding on to childhood trauma, to past resentments, to failed relationships, to failed businesses, to maybe investment choices that weren't the smartest. The best thing you can do is go, part of my transformation. Easier said than done, I know, but then move on. Okay? And let's see. Oh, yeah, I did share that one. Don't keep talking about what doesn't work. Don't keep talking about what doesn't work. Really, just don't, right? It's why therapy can be an interesting exchange, because sometimes we're looking to look at what isn't working. Now, it's great to go, okay, this isn't working, I need to change it. But then stop focusing on what isn't working and open the door up to finding and receiving a solution. And then the last one I have on my list, what I think is really important, is yawn more. Yawning gets a really bad rap, but when you yawn, you heal your vagus nerve, right? You release trapped trauma. I saved this one for last so that not everyone has to yawn for the whole radio show, right? But if you yawn, right, when we talk about yawning, you'll start to yawn. Guess what? Yawning releases trapped energy, right? Yawning heals the vagus nerve. Yawning helps the parasympathetic nervous system. Yawning releases things that we've been hoarding or places where we feel stuck. And so I teach a lot of somatic movement therapy, and I hope to be bringing it online in the near future. But the point is that yawning helps you heal. And so yawn, be proud about it, be bold about it. So those are the things. I'm going to recap the pieces that I think are that you can do right now, because I want to invite you to empower yourself with tools, and then find some tools that you're like, ooh, this helps me, this works for me. I pull angel cards, I meditate, I take baths, but find what works for you. Sometimes I like candles, I'll say a prayer, right? I'll take a break, I'll watch a movie, right? It doesn't matter what it is. What it matters is, are you paying attention to what makes you feel good? So in this transformation I was going through, there was nothing I could do. I couldn't fight the pain, couldn't fight the challenge that I was up against in my head. I had to surrender. I had to let go. And I had to allow the transformation to take place. So here it is in a quick thing. Get out in nature, right? Walk, hug a tree, go for a hike, right? Journal, huge, meditate. Pay attention to who makes you feel good, right? And who doesn't. And then pay attention to what makes you feel good and what doesn't. And do more of what makes you feel good. Spend more time with people who make you feel good, or you feel good when you're around them, right? Don't talk about what isn't working anymore. Stop regurgitating the past over and over and over and over again. That business, that thought pattern, that experience, that dynamic is dead. It's not working for you. Move on, right? Self-care, huge. Heal your nervous system, huge. Healing your nervous system, huge, right? Don't keep talking about what doesn't work, and yawn more. And then start dreaming big. Dream big. Dream big. And so the 5 questions to ask if you're going to journal, you can do an appreciation for who, what in your life. But then the first question is, what are my wins? What am I grateful for? Is the second question. Third question is, what am I letting go of? Fourth question is, what do I want to focus on or energize? And fifth question is, what's my ideal day? And do it every day. And I bet in 2 weeks, you'll start to notice a difference, maybe even less than. So my friends, thank you for joining me today on the power of transformation, because the truth is we're transforming every day. And do you want to transform for the worse, or do you want to transform for the better? The body was designed to transform, and sometimes transformation happens in the chaos. So don't resist the chaos, don't neglect the chaos. Invite the chaos in and see what happens next time you surrender and you prioritize feeling good. So I adore each and every single one of you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I look forward to seeing you all next time.
Catherine is not a medical practitioner nor a licensed therapist. She has strong opinions and will express them, and truly believes that you are your best advocate for any and every area of your life. If you need medical advice, please consult your physician.